How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with your boy, the Savior. Welcome back to the channel, my wonderful wise boys. Now today, let's just take it down a notch and have a conversation. This is not a scripted video or anything like that. This is just something that I've wanted to talk about for a while now. Something that I've seen on YouTube and nobody really talks about it that much. And it's something that just grinds my gears. Yes, that's right. It gets me pretty worked up, okay? But it's definitely a twisted version of Marxist ideology, and you could argue somewhat communist, I guess. But, you know, there's a massive culture war, especially in the West, especially in America, and, you know, pretty much all of Europe. There's no escaping it. It's coming over into the East as well now, so there's literally no escaping it. And I often talk about on my channel the divide between the genders, males and females, and how Gen Z has become divided over time, and it's by design. You know, it's these massive mega corporations that make a profit off it, these social media platforms made in Silicon Valley that want to keep us separate, that want us to be hooked and consumed by the machine, by technology, to, you know, separate us further so they can make, you know, more money. And it's all by design, and I've talked about that a lot, how we've kind of overly corrected humanity, and now that we have to destroy and literally debase history to make up for our past misdoings, which to me is completely stupid and it's absolutely disgusting. But it seems like humanity has overcorrected, because now I know gender is a lovely fluid liquid that we can all drink down and we can pick up at our local Walmarts or Tesco or whatever, okay? But I'm not talking about that. I'm simply talking about the original genders, okay? The ones that actually do exist in base reality, males and females, okay? And how that's become so separated over time.
I am sick of being a baby factory.
This is just a reminder for men that scientists have now discovered a way for women to impregnate themselves using their own bone marrow. So we no longer have any need for you, genetically or physically.
Men have been trashed for millennia. They've been trashed for a long time.
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive. They're supposed to listen to women. You are a queen. They are worker ants. Because men do not have the ability to think for themselves. They don't. Because men are fucking stupid. We women must take charge. Feminism all the way.
Remind me that I don't need a man and men are useless. What should I remind you?
I check her Instagram and her Twitter to make sure I haven't missed anything she's posted. Sometimes she tweets the funniest things. And then, of course, I have to react to her Instagram story. Hard eyes, of course. Sometimes she responds back. She responded back to me. She said, "Shut up." We're taking things slow. Right now she has a boyfriend, which is totally fine. I pay her rent.
More. Get more. Do you know where I'm going tonight?
Yes.
Me and Spencer are going out?
Yes. And you're gonna use that?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, will you please, do you simp for me then, Nimbo? Please, simp for me.
So today, let's dive in and take a closer look at the other side of this progressive mentality that we see going on, this woke culture. Everything is woke nowadays, and I know that word is overused, and it is overused, but to be honest, a lot of things have become woke. You know, most of our media has been wokeified. Just look at everything that Disney produces nowadays. It's an autocorrection, but it's also a new form of currency for these mega corporations. You have to understand that they get rated. That's why we see it so abundantly in media, and it's absolutely everywhere. There's no escaping it. and you know, it's by design, and it's no wonder that some cultures or countries like China completely keep it out, and they have a completely, you know, different market to the Western audience and all that kind of stuff, because it is by design. And the most dangerous thing about this is it is a form of groupthink, and it doesn't follow logic, it mostly follows emotions, and I think that's very dangerous, especially group thinking, because it tears down, you know, individual thought and expression, and that's why we see so many people are just so one-sided. They live in little echo chambers, they can't have discussions about nuance or anything like that, and it's very dangerous because we need to respect the individual, and we all have different opinions, but because of this modern time that we live in where everyone is connected and we don't know how to deal with this connection because we're still not used to this technology, but it's only going to get more and more crazy as the future progresses, you know, people need to learn how to have conversations again. They need to learn how to connect instead of just shouting at each other, or, you know, having communications through the social media platform, because it's not real life. But sadly, we consume so much media and content now, so it is all by design to get you into this type of ideology and to make you think that this is the morally correct way of looking at the world, viewing history and human progression as though we were always living under some kind of dictatorship, some kind of horrible society where men just ruled over everything, and, you know, everything was completely morally bankrupt in the past, which just isn't the case. And it's a very disgusting ideology, and the fact that we have to overcorrect now and we have to have diverse people in absolutely everything, destroying fables of certain cultures, destroying culture itself, I just think there's a lot of wrong with this progressive ideology, and I'm not for it, okay? I am, you know, central, okay? And I think that that is absolutely disgusting, and I can see all the problems with it. But then we also have the community of the red pillars, okay? And let's take the red pill. Everyone's an NPC because everyone's so dumb, and I'm intellectually way beyond everyone else. And this is another side of this toxic culture war, okay? And that's what I want to talk about today, because I slightly lean to that situation. You know, I believe that men do need to feel empowered now because we have been so, you know, emasculated by society now, and, you know, there's a lot of problems in this current generation with lonely men feeling lost. You know, just look at the rise of people like Jordan Peterson and all of these life gurus. There's a reason why they are so successful, because they have that need. There is a massive gap in the market, if you view it like that, you know, of course they are fulfilling that purpose, because so many men feel lost, you know, in Gen Z, coming into this generation of technology, living life through technology and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I myself, when I was younger, felt like that. That's why I turned into philosophy. That's why you should build relationships, you know, get married, all that kind of stuff. I think someone who talks a lot of logic is Ben Shapiro. I'm not a massive fan of him. I feel like he's a little bit on the nose with some things, and yeah, he's basically a massive shill as well for his group think as well. So, but I do appreciate his ideas, and people like Jordan Peterson as well. But what I'm saying is, with my rambling, if it makes any sense, is there are two sides, two polar extremes, okay? And you should place yourself somewhat in the middle and view things objectively, okay? Not subjectively. Detach your emotions and view things with logic, okay? That's how you should proceed with life. And I don't know, it feels like this culture war has been going on for 10 years now, and that's just because it's so highlighted constantly on social media. And of course it depends on what type of social media you're consuming, but even for me, I'm not following it that much, not that not like I used to be way more into it, but it's still, you know, advertised to me, it's still very popular, and it's still, you know, a big deal, because it's just getting crazier and crazier with, you know, how much our freedoms are being taken away from us, and how reality itself gets distorted to fit this narrative. Just look at the movement on the progressive side of things. But I digress. What I want to talk about is the polar other extreme, which is the red pill community. So like I said, I agree with a lot of the red pill community, what they're saying, and, you know, building men back up again. I think that's very important, because men literally built ancient culture, and we should respect what men can do And this idea now that women don't need men, and basically families are decaying, people aren't getting married, people aren't having babies, all of that stuff I think is very bad for society. And like I said, we've overcorrected. Now females have way too much choice and power. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying we've simply overcorrected. And now females literally own every single marketplace in the world. You know, education, they get out of universities way ahead of guys nowadays, and a lot of guys are just dropping out. You know, sexual partnership and choice, that's why there's so many lonely men, and only 10% of men actually get the woman, because they are very status orientated, and you know, they seek men with high amounts of wealth and money. And social media and these dating apps, they are automatically designed for the female users, and culture is made that way now in today's society, where people don't meet organically because we're so isolated in little technology bubbles that the only way we can talk to each other is through a fucking microphone. But I digress, okay? It's all being designed, you dum-dums, okay? Remember that. You're living in an artificial reality, okay? But anyway, on to the fucking point, Savior, Jesus Christ, is this red pill community of scum, okay? So there are lots of platforms, like I said, that kind of preach this mentality, and I like them, okay? Like, for example, Jordan Peterson. He preaches a lot of scientific knowledge and a lot of useful things. Ben Shapiro, he's okay on some things, and there's so many of them. You know, the Daily Wire is massive in America now. It's replacing old media. But then we also have the far extreme side, or the, what's it called? What was it called a couple of years ago? Or, I don't know, it feels like it's gone on forever, like the far right, or whatever. I don't know, the extreme right, or whatever they were called, okay? I don't know what the fuck they were called. But anyway, you get the point, what I'm trying to say, right? So you have this extreme, and I'm not going to say toxic, because that's just a buzzword that is, you know, not good for males or gender and all that kind of stuff. But we do have the extreme right of red pillars, okay? And these are your Andrew Tates, okay? He was the most well-known before he got taken down. But we also have this sub-community of little butthole leeches who actually, in real life, act like complete little pansies, okay? They are the most losers of all losers. But sadly, the bottom-barrel men listen to these scumbags because they think they preach wisdom, but actually they just teach absolutely disgusting behavior for men. And the way they treat the way they treat women, I should say, on their podcast, on their platform, is absolutely disgusting. So today I'm talking about the Whatever podcast and the Freshandfit podcast, okay? These are the two most popular red pill podcasts out there, and I'll show you a few clips now just so you get a sense of what kind of just absolute BS.
We used to do it without permission. So it's not like she came over and said, hey, I want to sleep with all you guys. Yeah. We said, hey, man, that white girl like you. Get over here. And then we put, yeah. We just come in with this.
Oh, what to do if you have a girl at your place and she says, no, I don't want to have sex? Who gives a fuck about a woman's orgasm? It's useless. And when women lose sexual leverage, guess what? They have no power, because that's their only fucking power.
Keep going. You can't divorce. I mean, that's not a real thing. And what actually happens when people are getting divorced isn't these types of scenarios. It's like literally initiated, you'll probably know the stat, between 2/3 and 80% of the time by women. That should be outlawed. You legally actually should not be able to.
So basically, they come across as complete douchebags, okay? And that's because they only invite college students onto their show, or people with absolutely low IQ, so they cannot actually get debated, they cannot actually have conversations, because they only have conversations with models, okay, female models, only fan models as well, and people of that nature, or college students that don't know any better. They never have anyone with actual, you know, knowledge on their show whatsoever. So they do this by design, so they cannot get challenged, their thoughts can't get challenged. They are just complete losers off camera, and the most insecure people you will ever meet. But it's just sad that YouTube still allows this type of content. I'm glad that it does, because free speech is important, but it's just complete disgusting horseshit that they preach on the podcast. I was actually watching the Whatever podcast for a bit, because I thought, hey, this is kind of interesting, seeing, you know, the younger generation talking about their dating life and stuff like that. And it's supposed to be a dating podcast, but in reality, what this actually is, it's super far right group of guys who actually hate women. Sometimes the things that they bring up might actually be correct. You know, the subjects that they bring up are actually factual, but then their answers to the problems of the world are just completely just disgusting and very damaging towards society. Now, I do think that culture has gone downhill a lot. You know, we are kind of in a decline of culture at the moment, and especially with males and females, you know, not getting together anymore. You know, the old role model of the man has been kind of destroyed, which is a shame, and I think that's very destructive for society because, like I said, men have done so much stuff for humanity, and it's just a shame that we've been conditioned to living, you know, like an artificial life when actually we should be out in nature, conquering and exploring and doing all of this stuff, practicing virtue. A lot of men don't even go to the gym anymore. They don't see the point of building their bodies or anything like that. And it's just a very sad state of affair that we live in. And the way a lot of people interact now is through screens. And like I said, because the balance has been completely shifted, females dominate this marketplace of selling themselves, selling their attention. So of course they feel like if they can make money from, you know, guys' attention, why do they need to value men anymore if they are literally making money from guys and the attention of guys, because that's how much the value has shifted. So that's why I'm trying to bring back ancient virtue, because I think that is what's lost into today's society, because otherwise, without balance, we get these, you know, two extremes of tribalism, you know, and tribalism is always bad. It's always just leads to destruction and groupthink and all this kind of stuff. And this red pill community, they don't actually have anything of substance. They don't actually speak about anything wise or useful to bring up men. They don't talk about self-discipline. They don't talk about, you know, actually practicing virtue and responsibility. Because I'm trying to bring back virtue in this modern world, especially for this generation, because I feel like we've just become a hedonistic society, civilization, where we only seek comfort and pleasure, and we don't really challenge ourselves. Philosophy now is looked at with this weird lens of just pure academia, when actually it's a lifestyle, it's something, you know, it's the highest truth that we can get to, you know, it's beyond science in my thinking. And yeah, I'm trying to bring back that form of strong stoicism that we actually live, not just preach. And I'm very much interested in philosophy and creating my own philosophy. I'm trying to bring back the virtues of the Roman Empire, and I have my own movement. So if you are interested in that, please do subscribe and email me. There's a playlist of it as well, of different philosophical videos. They think that men should have super high body counts, way above the women, because that's the only way it can become stable. They don't have any kind of useful relationship advice. You know, they see women more as objects and something that a man should own, and that you have to kind of keep control over, this idea of control. You know, that's why we get this weird balancing act where, you know, humanity has overcorrected now, and that's why it's very weird with dating and the, you know, genders now. But then also we get this community where literally, you know, this red pill community, they want to treat women like they did back when we were just simple dumb cavemen. And if they try and escape the cave, you just bonk them on the head. You bonk them on the head and drag them back into the cave. That's pretty much what this is. You know, it reminds me of the story of, you know, that Socrates kind of, I think he came up with it, where, you know, a group of people were living in a cave, but they only ever saw darkness. That was their whole perception of life. They didn't have any other knowledge about the world around them or anything like that. One of them escapes, they see the light, and they bring that knowledge back to the others to try and tell them, but they are completely set in their ways that this is reality, this is the only way of living, and that's how we get this ignorance in today's society. And I honestly just think it's disgusting.
Everybody needs a bottle in the morning, but since babies can't drink coffee, I have my juice. Yay, Handy Manny is on. It's my favorite show. Yeah!
No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable.
It's basically just a bunch of insecure men who insult women. That's pretty much what these podcasts are, Fresh and Fit, and The Whatever Podcast. The Whatever Podcast is cringe, okay? The Whatever Podcast is bad, and Fresh and Fit is cringe. Fresh and Fit is toxic, and I would say Fresh and Fit is bad and worse than The Whatever Podcast. They are both terrible podcasts, and that just goes to show that just because you have a following, just because you have a podcast, doesn't mean that you're worth listening to. They parade these, OnlyFans people around on their platform so people can comment hate to them, live for everyone to see. It's just pretty debased. It's just debased moral content, if you ask me. And I don't have respect for OnlyFans, girls. I think they're complete scum as well. But two scums. But two wrongs don't make a right, and I just find it absolutely disgusting. One thing that they talk about a lot on Fresh and Fit and The Whatever Podcast is that you should find a life partner to, prop you up completely, that, they should be there completely as support, and you're not equal in the relationship. And that's just a very disgusting way to look at relationships. Of course, you should take on certain roles as a man. You should be the leader, and you should have a plan for your life and your partner and all that kind of stuff. And maybe if you want to fulfill that role of, a traditional housewife, there's nothing wrong with that. And, family values are important, and I do believe that we are going too far the other way. But at the end of the day, it's down to the individual relationship. But they simply see women as an object, that they don't have any consciousness themselves, and that they cannot be trusted, that you always have to be constantly paranoid about your woman because they're just going off out there to sleep with whoever. It's just dividing. The problem is they're trying to prop up men, weak men who watch this type of shit, okay? They're trying to prop up these lost men, and instead of them learning about philosophy, practicing objective thought reality and looking at things with clear logic without emotion, which they always claim women to be emotional, but they get very emotional on this podcast. Learning about stoicism, learning about virtue, honesty, and controlling your passions. Moderation is key, but none of that is ever discussed. It's just the lowest of low content, and it's just crazy how big Fresh and Fit and The Whatever Podcast is now. They literally add nothing of value. Instead, seek actual discipline yourself instead of judging others, and learn about judgment and form healthy relationships with women instead of paying so much money to just, sling insults at the gender because it's become so, the opposite gender because it's so, it's become so unbalanced, like I said, with now. I do understand that women literally control the marketplace now with sex and all that kind of stuff, and it is pretty crazy how it's shifted, and women have very high standards now, and because they don't necessarily need a relationship to function in this modern world, that's why it's become so debased. But actually, you need to understand that men and women are stronger together, and this type of content, instead of propping up young men, lost men, it actually does the opposite. It makes them go more internal, and it makes them practice hatred for the opposite gender instead of learning that if you develop yourself, then you can, then conquer, if that's the word you want to use, you can then get more women to come to you and all this kind of stuff. So I just wanted to talk about why The Whatever Podcast is disgusting, why Fresh and Fit is bad, and why Fresh and Fit is disgusting, and why these red pill podcasts are bad and just terrible content, and I just don't see many people talking about it considering how popular they are. So please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I know this video was rather rambly, I'm very sorry for that, but I just wanted to talk about it, and let me know your thoughts and opinions, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.